Well, how y'all are today? This is your buddy George Jones over here at the Bergen Gun Range with my next installment on Buyer Beware. Okay? Or 8. My buddy really got ripped off at the gun show. And the gun in question is this guy. Now, I have a friend of mine here locally who is an avid World War II collector but doesn't know everything he needs to know to be able to avidly collect certain things. This is the same gentleman who bought the sterilized Luger for $1,200. It turns out it was worth about $3,000. We managed to help him get a little bit out of the woods over at the store. He called me the other day and says, I went to a gun show and I bought me a genuine GI 45 from World War II. I said, okay. So I drove over to the house fearing the worst, and my fears were availed. He bought this. Pretty nice looking 1911 now, ain't no kidding about it. Got World War II style hammer, World War II style grip safety, got a lanyard ring on it, the grips look nice, they're brown plastic. And the slide says Ithaca Gun Company, Ithaca, New York. And that's all he saw. He didn't even bother reading the part on the side of the gun where it says manufactured Philippines, South Asia Manufacturing Inc., or SAM. Okay? And all he saw was Ithaca Gun Company. Okay? So what this is a Philippine-made 45 automatic frame with a Ithaca top on it, an Ithaca slide. And I think he paid $1,200 for it. And I think I gave him $300 for it. When I pointed out the various markings on it that indicated its actual point of manufacture and the fact that it was a parts gun with a World War II period slide on it, he was about as heartbroken as he was when he bought the Luger. Here's the deal. There are some unscrupulous gun sellers out there. There's just some pirates. That's all there is to it. There's just some pirates. You know, there's some people out there purveying firearms to be something that they are not. And these people, tarring and feathering, ain't good enough for them. I'll just tell you the truth. I'm telling you, it's just, they'll really take you for a ride if you're not careful. Now, the question is there an original World War II, all parts matching complete 1911 out there someplace? Yeah, there is. There is. Original unissued guns that were sold through the NRA or other programs in the 1960s in the original box and original wrappings and papers and so forth, you know, and original magazines. Those guys are out there. And some of them are still held by collectors and some of them are still held by museums, you know, and they are all original. The very nature of re-arsenaling guns after a conflict that used to be in play negate the possibility of you ever finding an original all matching internal parts and everything 1911 pistol, because this is how it worked. Let's say it's the end of World War II. These firearms came back on the arsenal inventory domestically or overseas somewhere. The guns were completely M1 rifles, 30 caliber carbines, grease guns, 1911s, whatever it was. These guns were completely stripped to their absolute base parts. The smallest pins and so forth, everything removed from the gun. All of the parts small parts were put into one basket and all the big parts were put into another basket, and these baskets were lowered into vats of boiling solvent and water and boiled for hours. And then they were taken out and the parts were strewn out onto a parts separating table, and the parts were separated and inspected and gauged and put into bins. And then armorers reassembled guns. Took them out to the bin, out to the barrel, and test fired them one time to make sure that the gun worked, cycled and ejected, and it brought it back and cosmoleted the gun, wrapped it in paper, wrapped the separate magazine in paper, and put it back into an arsenal storage box, and it was put on inventory until the next conflict. So if you had an original Ithaca 1911 A1 45 automatic that came into the arsenal as a complete gun, it went into the arsenal storage as a parts gun. This goes for 45 automatics, M1 rifles, 30 caliber carbines, you name it. There's no such thing as an original gun. And every once in a while you'll see an M1 rifle with a Springfield Armory receiver and a Springfield Armory barrel on it, but it's pretty rare, you know. With that having been said, you know, you just don't see the original guns like that anymore. And if you see one, you know, and it has all the provenances and so forth, great. But you need to look at every marking on that firearm and understand what every marking on that firearm means, or you're going to get ripped off. And that's all there is to it. My friend, I've given him several books to read and so forth, so where he would understand a little bit better how this all works. Now, did he buy a good 45 automatic? Yeah, he bought a pretty good 45 automatic. It works, and we're going to shoot it right here and proof it out that it does actually work. But, you know, the barrel on this gun has a co-witness cut back here, so you can look in the barrel and see that there's a loaded round in there, and World War II guns didn't have that. World War II guns were not marked 45 auto on the breech section of the barrel, okay? So at a distance or on camera, as you can see it now, it looks like a pretty nice looking World War II GI 45. But up close, it turns out that it's not that good, okay? So, like that. We'll shoot this gun about 7 times and see if it actually shoots. Got some old, we call them lipsticks. It's these bullets from Knob Creek that, let's see if we hit the old steel silhouette down there one time. Yeah, you can hit it. So it's a good beater 45 automatic. You know, nothing to write home about. Probably worth about $350. You know, just an old parts gun. But, fellers, ladies and gentlemen, you get ripped off real easy. Okay? If you don't know, take a picture of it and send me an email. Okay, I'll help you out. I don't have a problem with it. That's what I'm here for, is to keep you guys from getting ripped off in the used gun market. That's my primary mission. Well, all right then. Y'all have a great 2A day. Comment, share. What is it? Like-a-tate, share-a-fi, commentate, and subscribe. Leave me an old $1 in the Patreon bucket if you want to. Have a great 2A day. Join the NRA, buddy. They're the only game in town, really. And we'll see you when we see you. Bye now.